the Ellen situation.
Yeah.
You know, people found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, Ellen's actually a bitch. And then we're like, whoa,
Yeah.
can't believe it. And she lost everything. She fell apart, disappeared, because people found out that this character that she was portraying in a half an hour on a television show is not really who she was. My buddy Greg, who was one of her writers, was like, she's a piece of shit. And he was like, she's a monster.
The wild part is how Ellen DeGeneres built a whole empire off being the nicest person on TV, and then got exposed for acting nothing like that behind the scenes. Instead of owning it, she tried to flip the script and come back like she was the one who got wronged, which just didn't sit right with people at all. And that comeback, it didn't hit the way she thought it would. What was supposed to be a big return to stand-up turned messy fast, canceled shows, harsh reviews, and Ellen basically admitting she got pushed out of the industry for being mean, while still dodging real accountability. That's the part that had people side-eyeing hard. What made it even worse is how she played every angle possible. She pulled the woman card, the gay card, even leaned into the whole "I'm just too blunt" excuse. Everything except saying, yeah, maybe I wasn't the best boss. It felt like she was trying every defense in the book instead of just being real for once. Now for context, because this situation runs deep, Ellen wasn't just any host. She dominated daytime TV for nearly 20 years. Her whole image was built around kindness, with her famous line, "Be kind to one another," becoming her signature vibe. She danced, gave away cars, pranked celebs. It was all very feel-good, wholesome energy that people trusted. But then 2020 hit, and everything unraveled fast. It started with a viral Twitter thread where people began sharing stories about Ellen allegedly being rude behind closed doors. At first, it sounded like gossip, but then things got serious real quick. Current and former employees of the Ellen DeGeneres show stepped forward, and the accusations were heavy. We're talking claims of racism, intimidation, fear of speaking up, and even sexual misconduct tied to top-level producers. That's when it stopped being rumors and turned into a full-blown scandal. Warner Brothers had no choice but to step in and launch an internal investigation. The fallout was immediate. 3 executive producers got fired, and Ellen's ratings dropped hard, like a sudden free fall nobody could ignore. The audience that once loved her started tuning out fast. Her show went from pulling in over 2 million viewers to barely hitting 1 million, and the money followed that drop, as revenue reportedly slid from $131 million down to $105 million. That's a massive hit for a daytime giant. By May 2021, the writing was on the wall. Ellen announced the show would end after 19 seasons, closing out what used to be one of the most powerful runs on daytime TV, but not in the way anyone expected. Just like that, it was over.
I am announcing that next season, season 19, is going to be my last season.
When the final episode aired in May 2022, Ellen disappeared from TV after nearly 2 decades on top, and the silence was loud. No daily show, no dancing, no giveaways, just gone. And people were left wondering what she'd do next. Then out of nowhere, she popped back up like nothing happened. Ellen decided 2024 was her comeback year and announced a stand-up tour called Ellen's Last Stand Up, along with a Netflix special titled For Your Approval. The whole rollout felt like her big response to critics, her way of saying she's still funny and still relevant. Problem is, people weren't really buying it. The tour was supposed to hit major cities across the US, the UK, and Australia, but things started falling apart fast. In July 2024, 4 big shows, Dallas, San Francisco, Seattle, and Chicago, were suddenly canceled with zero warning, just wiped off the schedule like they never existed. Ticketmaster even sent refunds without any clear reason, which instantly got people talking. Naturally, speculation went wild. Was it low ticket sales? Was the backlash catching up to her? Something clearly wasn't adding up. Ellen later said it was due to health issues, explaining she had osteoporosis and suffered injuries from a fall, which is serious, no doubt. But the timing raised eyebrows, especially with everything else going on around her comeback. Then came the moment that was supposed to change everything, but didn't. On September 24th, 2024, her Netflix special dropped, and critics wasted no time tearing into it. Rotten Tomatoes slapped it with a 33% rating, basically hinting she should have stayed retired. That's rough. And it didn't stop there. Variety called it painfully self-indulgent, while The Independent described it as bizarre, unfunny, and self-pitying. Time magazine said it was almost never funny and left way too much unsaid. Even The Atlantic, usually more measured, pointed out that Ellen struggled to actually find humor in her own situation. But the biggest issue wasn't just the jokes missing, it was the tone. Instead of owning what happened, Ellen spent most of the special acting like she was the one who got treated unfairly. She literally said, and then tried to brush it off by adding something like, yeah, because there are no mean people in show business, which completely missed the point. Of course, there are tough personalities in the industry, but Ellen built her entire brand on kindness. That's why people felt a certain way when those behind-the-scenes stories came out. When that angle didn't land, she started reaching for other explanations. She suggested people had an issue with her being too gay, then leaned into calling herself a strong, direct woman, as if that explained the backlash. But that wasn't what people were calling out, and it didn't clear anything up. The biggest thing missing? She never really addressed the employees who spoke out. The people who said they experienced racism or felt uncomfortable at work didn't get a real response, and that silence spoke volumes. And here's where things really didn't sit right with people. At no point did she address those serious claims, like employees allegedly losing their jobs after taking bereavement leave, or crew members saying they were left completely confused about pay during COVID. Instead, she joked about random stuff like parallel parking and raising chickens like none of it ever happened. People weren't about to just forget all that. The internet shut it down fast. Social media lit up with side-by-side clips. Her "Be Kind" slogan right next to moments where she came off cold towards staff and guests. Old interviews started resurfacing, and that Dakota Johnson moment blew up again, where Dakota basically called her out for not telling the truth about a birthday invite. That clip alone had people rethinking everything.
Are you happy belated birthday? When was your birthday?
It was October 4th.
October 4th. And how was the party? I wasn't invited.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited. Last time I was on the show, last year, you gave me a bunch of shit about not inviting you, but I didn't even know you wanted to be invited.
Well, who doesn't want to be invited to a party?
Well, I didn't even know you liked it.
Then things got even messier. People began digging into her connection with Diddy, who at the same time was facing serious allegations of his own. And suddenly, old clips of Ellen calling him her favorite guest and giving him nicknames like Cuddle McSnugglestuff started circulating again. She had him on her platform for years, hyping him up, and now it all looked bad in hindsight. When reporters tried to ask her about those allegations, she didn't clear anything up. No statement, no explanation, she just walked away, which only made things look worse. Silence in a moment like that raised even more questions. Then came another twist. Around the time of the 2024 election, Ellen and Portia de Rossi made a big move, leaving the US and settling into a $20 million farmhouse in the English countryside, and the way it was announced, that stirred even more reactions. Ellen said they were leaving because of political concerns and fears about rights being affected, even saying if same-sex marriage laws changed in the US, she would remarry in the UK. It came off intense and dramatic to a lot of people, and instead of gaining sympathy, it pushed more viewers away. Because from the outside, people started pointing out contradictions in her public image, and that just added another layer to an already messy situation. And this is where things start looking real inconsistent. Ellen was openly friends with George W. Bush, even though he opposed gay marriage during his presidency, and when people questioned it, she defended that friendship by saying we should be kind to people with different views. But then later, she's acting like those same views are a deal breaker. That contradiction didn't go unnoticed.
It's none of my business what somebody's. Now, when somebody makes it my business, like on gay marriage, I'm going to stand up and say I don't support gay marriage. In my state of Texas, if we try to have gay marriage, I would campaign against it.
So people started asking, what's the standard here? Is it about principles or just convenience? Because from the outside, it looked selective, and that made her whole message feel shaky. Then the UK situation got even more chaotic. After buying that $20 million farmhouse, she stayed there for barely a month. That's it. Then suddenly, a full renovation kicks off. 70 workers brought in, fast-tracking everything in about 10 weeks. And right after that, the property gets listed for $10 million more than she paid. That doesn't look like escaping. It looks like business. And the explanation didn't help either. She claimed the place didn't have enough room for her horses, but that's something you'd normally figure out before spending $20 million. That excuse had people raising eyebrows instantly. It gets worse. Reports came out saying proper permits weren't fully handled. There were concerns about disturbing ancient Roman remains, and a massive fence was installed that locals feared could mess with drainage in the area. Then months later, flooding actually hit and surrounded the property. The timing on that just made the whole situation look even more questionable. By early 2026, another twist dropped. Turns out Ellen and Portia were splitting time between the UK and California after picking up yet another mansion back in the US. So much for completely leaving the country. That "we're out for good" narrative didn't hold up for long. At that point, people started calling it what it looked like, a mix of PR moves and real estate flipping. And here's the thing, Ellen isn't new to that game. She's reportedly flipped over 50 properties, including 24 in Southern California alone. So this wasn't random, this is something she clearly knows how to do. Now let's circle back to that Netflix special because the numbers tell their own story. According to Netflix's own top 10 data, For Your Approval only stayed in the global top 10 for 1 week, just one. It peaked at number 9 in the English TV category with around 2.8 million hours watched and 2.4 million views. That might sound decent at first, but not for a major comeback. Other shows, even low-budget true crime series, stick around for months. Meanwhile, her big return barely made a dent before disappearing. And that really sums up the whole situation. Ellen had everything lined up: Netflix backing, a massive audience, years of experience, and name recognition that most people could only dream of. But she still missed the mark. Because at the core of it, people weren't asking for perfection. They were asking for accountability. Not the "I'm sorry you feel that way" type of apology. Not the "I got pushed out for being mean" angle, but something real. Something where she actually acknowledges what happened and why people were upset.
It's a rough one now because she was running Abu Ghraib in the back of her show. That's a rough one. She's out there dancing with Kristen Bell, and in the back there's people that are getting up on the rack like this.
It's so weird when you see like a lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced.
Ellen is a nasty.
Instead, it felt like deflection after deflection, downplaying the situation, shifting the narrative, and treating it like one big misunderstanding instead of a serious workplace controversy that affected real people. And now, the impact is clear. The tour lost momentum. The Netflix special didn't land. The talk show is gone. The game show got canceled, and she's no longer that dominant presence in entertainment. She's not seen as the queen of nice anymore. Now she's just another high-profile name that lost public trust after things came out. So what do you think? Did she deserve a real comeback? Or was this fall inevitable? Drop your take below. I'm curious what side you're on. And if you want more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one.